8 years, and now you've roped me in to doing something that I don't want to. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I think this
Me
is
and
amazing.
me and Jack Grealish with that awful hairband. That is the
No,
elephant in
but
the room.
I know, but no, all jokes aside, I'm honestly so proud of you for doing this. I think this is right up your street. I reckon this is going to do really great things for you. So I'm really proud of you for doing this.
Thank you. That's sweet. I'm
Yeah,
literally doing it purely because like I have so many interesting people around me, I feel, that would have
yeah,
like just good stories to tell. And yeah, and like I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. Even just making that
it's so
trailer
true.
of you the other day, like I was just sat there like an hour on my phone and it just
Yeah.
like that's all I wanted. I was just enjoying it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is so up your street. I've always said it, but I hadn't have even thought about it until you mentioned it the other day about doing a podcast. And I thought, oh my God, like there's so many interesting people around us. Why
Mm.
would you not? And like people are getting more woke as the years go on. And I think it's so
Yeah,
healthy to listen to honest, real conversations. I think it is so empowering.
I
So you've got
completely
my
agree.
full support. Yeah.
On that note, bringing you onto the podcast, the other elephant in the room, Celebs Go Day, and how did that come about? Even though I know most of it was so long ago, I felt like it was literally a lifetime ago. So
Yeah, so do I. I feel
I
like it
can't
was
even remember,
ages
to be
ago.
honest. Here's some information. Oh, that's my watch. Ignore that. I can't even actually remember how it fully came about. So go.
Yeah, it was the wildest thing. Like I was working in the office in Cardiff full time, and I remember getting a message on Instagram from like a casting agent that basically said, um, "We think you would be great on this show. We're currently casting for it." And I just paid it no mind. Like I literally just opened it, and I must have double tapped the message or didn't think about it. And then I had another message like a couple of days later, and this casting agent literally said, click on this link, don't even fill in the form, just sign at the bottom, and we can get you filming in a week. So I was like, oh my God, like this actually might happen. So I remember just walking up to, Resource at the time, booking like these days off that they said I needed available. And within, I kid you not, like a week, I was filming the first episode in London, and it
I
was
think
just
I
the
remember. I
wildest thing.
remember you meeting me and Jamie after work by
Yeah.
work, and you were literally like, "I'm going to be filming Celeb Go Day next week." Was it like going into it? Was it better than you thought? Was it like obviously
I
the
think
experience as a
like
whole? What would you say? It was like,
yeah, I mean like at the time, like when I was asked to go on, I was in the frame of mind like I really want to be on TV and I really want to gain more exposure. Like I had like a little following on Instagram, but in the grand
yeah,
scheme of things, it wasn't a lot. And I thought, okay, well, this is an opportunity to almost build a brand essentially and kind of like get myself out there and build a following. And I think there's such a stigma attached to people saying that they are on a show because they want to be on TV. I mean, who isn't?
yeah.
There's no shame in
You'd be
that sort
lying,
of.
I think.
Yeah, everyone on the show is on the show to be on TV, whether they get paid a fee, whether it's work for them, like so that is why I did the show. And obviously I was like what, like 21, 22,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed the experience looking back. It was I met such great people and it was so strange to be in front of the cameras.
Twitter was
Yeah,
full of like horrible comments. Like I
yeah.
think you took a lot of that to heart initially, didn't you? Like, what
I think
did you
I
expect that? I don't
cared,
know.
like I sort of did, and before you go on the show, you have somebody FaceTime you that is like a professional sort of therapist, and they kind of gauge your understanding of what the show's about, like the effects it could have afterwards, and people will start recognizing you. And I think they almost like just want to make sure that you're in a sane sort of mindset before you go on,
Which is good.
which is good. But yeah, I was guilty, of when the show came out, like, because it was such a strange experience. I would be straight on Twitter in the ad break and I would be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and looking at what all these people were saying.
Yeah.
And it sounds bad, but like I was even kind of like loving, maybe loving is the wrong word, but like I wasn't bothered by the hate comments because I just knew that that was part and parcel of what was going to happen. People are either going to love you, they're going to hate you, whatever. Either way,
Yeah.
they cared enough to comment. And I think that was enough for me to kind of like feed off, the hate. But yeah, it is tough. TV is tough. Like I went on, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge show.
Oh no.
But it was tough.
I think it was more after. I think you weren't bothered. I think I noticed, especially, you weren't bothered. Like when we would sit there and watch it, and I'd be like, "Oh, Luke, this person said your hair is awful," blah blah blah, anything like that. It was more like later down the
Mm,
line when you would get like, I don't know, you'd have fillers and you put on your story, or you put it like a normal post or anything normal like that, and then the comments
yeah,
underneath would be like, "Oh, look what celebs have done to him," and like
yeah,
just
yeah.
shitty comments like that. I think from like being your friend and being with you, I think that's what I saw you struggle with most after. Do you
Yeah,
think?
and I agree. I think like when you watch yourself back on TV, you just overanalyze. You see yourself from angles that you've never seen yourself before. And I had a relationship with filler since I was around about 17. I remember going to this clinician with my mum, and my mum had to sign this document because I really wanted my lips filled from when I was like 15, before
Yeah.
filler was this hype. So it was dangerous territory for me then, because I was watching myself back and I found myself going back to my clinician and getting more filler. And another thing which didn't help was the fact that, you know, obviously when I was on the show, my follow account was going up on Instagram, and these clinicians and these aesthetic companies, they want to build their brand, they want to get to bigger audiences, so they would message me offering me free filler.
Yeah.
If I was to post on my Instagram. I think at the time I had like 40,000 people, so that's like a target audience for them.
Yeah.
And what's a couple of injections into my face if it means they can reach that many people? So I
Literally.
actually found myself getting more filler because it was free.
Which is so
Um,
dangerous. When you think back now, like I think you're in a very different place now. Think how dangerous that was, and like could have been as well. You could have just kept going, like, I'm all for it, done it, been there,
yeah,
but it's
yeah,
knowing when to
yeah,
know enough is enough. And I think now, like recently you put a post up, didn't you, saying you'd like taken most of it out, and like, I know you look so much better, and I think you feel better
yeah.
as well. Like, do
All of
you
it. I took
agree?
it. I took it all out. Because I started looking at myself, and I had that work done to my face from insecurities that I'd had when I was like not even an adult, but I still felt the need to keep going back and going back. And I ended up looking at myself in the mirror at one point and I thought, why am I having this work done? I'm fine the way I am.
Where do you think that came from though? If it didn't come from celebs, I think celebs probably made it worse because the
Yeah.
thoughts were already there. I think if you had just got into it and you hadn't had any before, or what do you think? Like,
I
what's the root
think,
of that when you were younger? Because
yeah,
that's
like I
everyone. Like, I get it, but only because probably being friends with you. Like, all jokes aside,
yeah,
because I seen you do it, and I like knew that I would be comfortable enough to just get a little bit done here and then, sort of thing.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that was my only reason for doing it, really. What do you
yeah.
think caused you to want to do it at such a young age? Because that wasn't even on my mind at 16, 17.
Yeah, I just remember I honestly couldn't even tell you. Like I just remember when I was around about 15, 16, just really disliking my lips, and I honestly just feel like I would look at myself in the mirror and I just wished that I had bigger lips. And I think I would follow when I was super young, like these male models on Instagram, and they all had like perhaps like a little bit more of a fuller lip, or like a slimmer nose, or more defined cheekbones, and I always kind of sort of wished that I could look a little bit more like them. And I think the lips was the starting point for me. So I think
Yeah.
from when I was 15, that is probably where it started. And then I had them filled from 17. But I think Celebs Go Dating just intensified my need for wanting to get surgery. I think when you're on TV and people know you from TV, you have
Yeah.
this false sense of wanting to keep up your appearance when you look fine as it is.
Well, yeah, you're going in, you're allowing yourself to go into that world. And in order to like
Yeah.
keep up with that world, you almost have to, because that's what they all do. Like, I think with you guys, a lot of shit from an E4 channel that was not really like mainstream when you think of Love Island and stuff.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
imagine what them lot got and do
Oh my
get,
God.
you
It's
know?
just it is honestly just another level. Like yeah, like you've literally hit the point. Like E4, I didn't even think was that big of a network to receive so much, so many people commenting on my appearance. So the fact that these other shows like Love Island and stuff, it is like intensified
It's
times
crazy.
100. But I do think like filler is like a quick fix. I think, people really need to sort of work on inside perspective. And I'm so like, I'm not against filler. Like,
Oh
I'm
my God,
honestly not. Like,
never.
people have insecurities. Sometimes people have tried working on it and they want to do it for them and not for anyone else. And I think that's
Absolutely.
where I sort of messed up is at the beginning, I did it for me. When I was on
Yeah.
TV, I did it for everyone
So
else.
what would you say, like, sum up what you've learned most from celebs and surgery in one very short sentence?
Oh my gosh.
That's probably a tough question, but I feel like you have it a lot from that, and I think you know that
Mm.
because we've
Hmm.
had many conversations about it. I think
Yeah.
you thought the world was going to be something different to what it was, and you
Yeah.
didn't get
Like,
out of it what you thought. Do you agree?
no, no. Yeah.
Which is a big
I was
lesson. I
also,
think so many people want to like take that jump and like, oh my god, let's go on TV, let's do this. Like,
yeah,
but I think yours is a very good lesson as to yeah, you don't regret doing it necessarily, but it's just not
that's the
what
thing.
you got out, not what you
That's the
expected.
thing. Like, I don't regret it because I know at the time, like when I was that age and in that frame of mind, I did it because I wanted to do it. And, that was who I was back then. So that's why I did it.
100%.
But having the head on me now, if I could use this head and go back and make the decision, I wouldn't have done the show because
No.
I just felt no, because like, I used to, it's so strange, but like I'm going to backtrack now. Like when people started to recognize me, I used to love it at the time. Like, and I think you can vouch for this, and so can our other friends. Whereas I was never really present when we were out because I
No.
was focusing on who would recognize me. I was feeding off of that. And it's when you think about it now, like it's really sad.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was my worth at the time. My worth was defined by what everyone else would think about me or whether they knew my face.
I think
And
we were all caught up in it. Like looking back, we
yeah,
probably enjoyed it at the time because we couldn't go. Like if we walked into the club, that was it. You knew straight away people were looking. But then,
yeah,
like
yeah,
looking back, I agree with you. It's not always like a healthy way to. And like our like life is not our life. That's the wrong thing, weird thing to say. But like we go to pubs, we go to the gay clubs just because we feel more comfortable, we feel more
yeah,
safe. But we were a
yeah,
lot more going to the straight clubs, weren't we? And
yeah.
looking back, that probably was so people would recognize you there.
It would. And at the time, like I would like be loving it. People would buy me drinks and like people
Oh
would
yeah,
recognize they want pictures with me. You feel like, everyone
valued
wants to be a
almost.
friend.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then like, but then as time went on, people started to recognize me less and less. A new season comes out and then your
yeah.
old news. And then I then started to suffer anxiety because it almost a complete flip happened. And I would hate it when somebody would recognize me and I would go into my shell because I'm growing older at this point. I'm not the same person that I was back then. So I almost now dislike it when someone's like, where do I know you from? Like, oh my God, are you from Celebs Go Dating? Because
Yeah,
I'm in a completely different mindset and it almost turned into quite a dark place looking back,
yeah.
um,
But I
which
think
is
yeah, you go
why,
from a massive high to like a much lower.
yeah, it's
And then by
so
the time that all
cutthroat.
settled in, we sort of locked down. So I think it all kind of went
Yeah,
into it all went into one, didn't it?
yeah, totally. And, it was hard. It was really tough.
Obviously, you went
Mm.
on off topic, but not off topic, I suppose. You went on Celebs Good Day to find a man. That obviously didn't work out with David. But how's the love life? How's all that going?
Well, I mean, I've been single since the show. You know, I think most people have got the consensus that, we weren't ever together. These shows are put together for entertainment at the end of the day. And, you know, I like I don't hold any animosity towards David. Like we've both, grown older and we're both around the same age. But I think he could have been nicer. I think he could have been nicer to me.
Yeah, and I think what people probably don't think is you straight away were almost labelled as, and by very close friends, you were labelled as like fame wanting to go in there, like
Yeah.
by an
Yeah.
old friend of yours. You had many a comment put out there about like the only
Hmm.
reason you're doing it and you're all fake, blah blah blah. But and I'm not saying David by any means is gone that route, but he's filming a TV show literally just
Yeah.
as much as you are. So
Totally.
he's
Totally.
doing it for exposure and he's doing it for one reason only. So I
Yeah.
think when you think of it like that, he had his own game to play for his own reasons, which I think is
I
respectable
mean,
in his end.
exactly whatever works for him and the other celebrities that were on the show. But I think people forget these guys are getting paid a fee to do this
Yeah,
show. This is
and a
work
decent
for
fee.
them.
Yeah,
Exactly. And they're not on the show to find love. They're on the show because they have a job opportunity that pays really, really well. They
exactly.
gain their exposure. They're not on the show to find love. And I think people forget the editing of these shows plays such a massive part. And I
Yeah.
think I got off lightly with the editing, actually. I think, I don't think the show made me out to be some dick. And I think, unfortunately,
No, not at
with
all.
with yeah, and with the some of the other deities, I think they kind of did them dirty a little bit because obviously I knew these guys and they weren't anything like they were on TV.
No.
So I think I got off lightly there. But yeah, I people would come up to me and they would say, "Oh, how are you and David?" Like after, like on a night out, like that was the one comment that I would always have. Are you still with David? And I'm like, I never was,
It's a
because
whole nother reality in real life, really, wasn't it? It was almost like that's
totally,
what we had to like
totally,
pretend was happening for a very long
yeah,
time,
yeah,
when it really,
and it
really,
makes you
really,
just,
really wasn't.
it really wasn't. No, and you know, unfortunately, that is just how it was. And I think in the end, like people would come up to me and I would literally say, yeah,
Yeah.
because I would be sick of talking about it. And then if I said no, they'd be like, "Oh, how come?" And then it would just like snowball, and I would just be like, "Do you know what? It's literally just easier to say, yeah." So
Yeah.
that's what I did. But yeah,
I think we find it more annoying on our end that you were getting flack and you were getting the shit, but like we said, he was in it for the exact same reason as you. Like,
yeah, and he
which like
didn't get,
that's nothing even against him. That's purely a fact. But I think you got the fame hungry, the abuse, he's only
yeah,
doing it to go on here, like he's not interested. Well,
yeah,
I imagine 90% of the people on there, how many of the people on there that met on that show are still together?
exactly. It's
Are any of them?
and
Like I highly doubt it.
no, yeah,
No,
it's just
no.
unfortunate. Like I was so nice, to David. And at the beginning, we were really, really cool. Like we were like messaging each other, on Instagram and just really good friends.
Yeah.
And that's how I saw it, and I felt like that was a healthy place to be. Um, but if you were to watch the show, you genuinely would think that it was a thing. And people forget, like, reality TV is not reality. And I had like an earpiece in, like I had someone stop in filming in its tracks and come and whisper something into my ear to say something or to talk about something, and then filming would start again. And it's very, very
Such
manufactured. Don't get me wrong, like there were some moments where probably, it was genuine. If I was laughing at something, it probably would have
Oh
been
yeah.
genuine and stuff. But yeah, there's a heavy influence that the viewer doesn't really see. You just take it for face value. And we spent hours and hours filming, and this all has to be condensed into one episode where there's also other celebrities with other dates, and they have to fit it all in. So they're only going to take the juicy bits. And if they don't have any juicy bits, they're just going to make their own.
Make it look a certain way.
Exactly.
Which I think you were
So
lucky with, like we said before. You did get off very lightly. They could have made you into a
yeah,
massive dick. But I think,
yeah.
yeah, when you look
Yeah.
back, even though the shit you got, I think you got away quite lightly. Do you agree?
I think so. I think
But we
so.
live and learn. Look at us now, older, mature, would never make the same mistake.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
joke.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, that's my first podcast. Done.
I know.
Done and
I
dusted.
think,
What I did see on
yeah.
another podcast I was listening to, which I thought was actually really cool, at the end of every podcast, every episode that someone does, they'll say to like the guest, what's one question you want to ask the next person that comes on? Now, like you don't even know who the next person is that's going to come on, but I think that's just such a like interesting question. So go.
That's a really good question, actually.
Like a life, like
Like,
I don't know, like I don't know. I'm not going to actually. Yeah, I'm not going to give you any.
yeah, I'm trying to think. That's a really good question, but maybe, hmm, hmm, I don't know. If you could see into the future in 10 years' time, where would you want to see
It's
yourself?
been an honor and a pleasure, and hopefully we will have more to talk about in the future, and we'll do another one.
Yes,
Okay. Well, thanks, my
Lush.
darling. We'll wrap it up there.
Love
Love you
you.
lot.
Love you. Mwah.